the perspective of what it means really shifts. And so Desmond, what you're saying, I can agree with, man. Being little, it was about, being with family. What I'm saying? You go out or whatever. Especially in Tyler, it was like, because, most of the Black people in Tyler, I feel like we all know each other. And so it was like a family union, kind of like block party type thing. And you just, it's cool. But as you get older, right, and now I have kids, right, you try to really convey what it really was, and how significant Juneteenth is, maybe even more so than the Emancipation Proclamation, which didn't really mean anything, because Abraham Lincoln didn't really have no power over the South, and those are the slaves he set free. He didn't even set, the northern states that had slaves, if they still sided with the Union, he was like, y'all good, but all y'all people on the South side, y'all gotta let y'all's people go. But they weren't listening, and so the older you get and the more research you do about the holiday, the more you learn. That's one thing I feel like I can appreciate about growing up in Tyler, or small town Texas. Like, even with my, I play with a basketball team, the Suns, right? And even within our basketball organization, we used to have like a Black History Month program, right? And we used to learn about who we were as a people. It wasn't just, we're gonna roll out a basketball and we're gonna play, And so, just as you get older and you come to, a better and deeper understanding of the fact that it was 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, and you look at how, when the enslaved people in Texas were set free, how they scattered to go and find family members that had been sold off, right? It has a deeper significance and impact in terms of what freedom really meant.
Love it, man. 25 lighters on my dresser, yes sir. I got to get paid. Bit then it won't be a little hit. Go read a book, you illiterate son of a bitch. Step up your vocab. Don't be surprised.
Patience to these false accusations. They faking the shaking, cause the money you're making. Bricks
money on the dresser, drive a compressor, top notch, get the most.
Okay, we see it. We live in effect. Man. So, once again, thank y'all for taking the time out to come and join us here for this conversation. I'm Drake. I'll even give you my full government. Brandon Drake, Mr. D713 with Everything Culture, the podcast for all cultures, the podcast with a purpose. And we're going to have people coming out for tonight's discussion. We're going to be talking about Juneteenth. All right. The year is 2022. And we just had part 1. Shout out to Stone, shout out to Baylor, shout out to Shan, Pod Fam, for, coming and having a conversation with people who've never celebrated Juneteenth before, except for Stone, and share their thoughts and opinions about this holiday that they would like to engulf and be a part of and put part of their tradition. And tonight we're going to be talking to some East Texas natives. I don't know about born, but I know I was raised there, and we're going to talk about what Juneteenth means to us. We'll touch on a bit of the history, as well as just overall experience and what are our thoughts going forward for our holiday. Something that's been shared nationwide now. So I'd like to introduce a few of the guests that we have right now. We'll start with Brandon Jakes. How you doing, man? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
What's going on, man? Brandon Jakes. Also known as Bishop, depending on what part of my life you met me in. Tyler, Texas native, born and raised, living here in the greater Houston area. And man, I heard you said what, Drake 713 or something there. I thought
713. See,
install the 713, man.
You see. The D713 came when I was keeping the alias low, when I was kind of a little bit, a little too buck for everyone. Season 1 was a little bit different. We were a little shy. How to put that alias together.
I get it. The moniker. I get it. Yeah, no, man. But cool, man. Just I'm looking forward to the conversation.
All right. We have Desmond. How you doing, brother?
What's happening? East Texas native, Longview. But, just a country boy, man. Here for the ride.
Okay, man. Thank y'all. Once again, I know we had Sandy that was here earlier, or Cassie. She may hop in. If one same thing with Chelsea come through, but people are more than welcome if you share it. Once again, this will be shared on all of our platforms, and this is recorded as well. So thank y'all for joining once again. And y'all will hopefully come back for the makings of you, so people can just listen to the makings of y'all too as well. So that could be your intro, and that's the point of the show. But so Juneteenth holiday, I would say something I've celebrated since I was a child. So if y'all mind sharing with us, when was your first Juneteenth? When did you start celebrating Juneteenth?
As long as I can remember. I don't remember exactly when. But I don't ever remember not celebrating it in some way, shape, form, or fashion, whether it was, going to the parade or just like family getting together. We've always done something and acknowledged the holiday. So I don't have a definitive starting point. It's just I don't know. It's as normal to us as like the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Man, I've celebrated this holiday my entire life. Us being from Texas, it hits a little different for us. I'm not really sure if everybody was taught the history of this holiday, but my family and people around me, they pushed it into us how important this holiday was for us. It's gotten wider and more broad span, but this is something that, although it hits home for everybody, for us, it hits a little bit different. And I tried to explain to people that aren't from Texas why this is so important to me. Because not only is this, our history as Black people, but as Texans, this is something that all of us need to know about. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And my sentiments are exactly with both you gentlemen. I've been celebrating Juneteenth since I can remember it. It's just like what people say, it's like apple pie. I guess say that it's just been part of it. When I was doing Everything culture, hey T, this is live right here. But when we did an episode in 2019, actually our first YouTube video for the podcast was about Juneteenth. Okay. Mm-hmm. And we talked about, reparations. We talked about the holiday and talked about how it made us feel. And
so Miss Honey, how do you guys celebrate, you and your family, do y'all celebrate Juneteenth?
Not really. I mean, I know what it is. I know, like listening to Black radio, like around this time, they're always promoting some type of parade, but it isn't something that's highlighted that we have to go and participate. Back in the day, I think I might have went to a couple of parades or maybe performed a time or two with like the band or something. But nothing really, I can't say it's engraved in my, tradition.
Yeah, barbecue or anything?
No, not really. Yeah, I know. And I'm from Houston.
Yeah. Okay. Do you, any of your friends or anyone else really celebrate it like that?
Not that they like brought me along or invited me out to events no, not really.
How about you, Mr. D713?
Man, with politics. We do it big for Juneteenth. Like growing up in North Tyler, I grew up in St. Louis, part of Tyler, and I moved to North Tyler during my 8th grade year. But even when I was on South Tyler, Juneteenth was like our 4th of July. That was like, we had parades, we had music. It was always a dance at, what was the biker spot? What was it called?
Oh,
the Truckers.
Fleetside Truck. Oh, the Truckers Dance.
The Truckers Dance, man. And it was something we looked forward to getting older, but it was just a huge occasion for the city. You know, they do candy out on the trucks. Everybody brought their slabs out.
Yeah.
For the people that don't know what a slab is, it's usually an older vehicle, Cadillac, Lincoln, something somewhat of a DeVille, on some rims with candy paint, wood grain, things of that nature. Escalades would be brought into, usually Cadillacs, but all in all being loud music. But it was a celebration. Now, I don't know how many people knew what they were exactly celebrating, but my family really pushed on the history of Juneteenth. How about you, GJ?
Yeah, I think I went once when I was a kid. Now, I went a lot when I was a kid, don't get me wrong, but I think I'm trying to remember the first time I went. I think it was with my childhood friend, K Ford. Shout out to K Ford. His grandfather was in the I think the Fleetside Truckers in St. Louis. Yeah. So we would always go with them and ride in the truck with them and stuff like that. We were young, and that was my first time being introduced to it. But I've never seen so many African Americans in one spot, and everybody's just in such great spirits, man. I mean, like, you get up, everybody's just lined up, got their best outfits on, pull out the new cars, new motorcycles, see kids on 4-wheelers and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just, everybody was just there having a good time. It was just a good feeling, you know?
And I thought everybody celebrated. Now, me being from, once again, Tyler, Texas, not seeing much, I started learning. Well, when I say I remember celebrate, I remember even when I didn't want to go some years, because, the only thing I didn't like about Juneteenth was the heat. Okay.
It's hot. Yeah, it's hot.
That's the only thing I did not like about Juneteenth. It was just hot as hell, but we had to, it was like we had to go. It was like, we're going to Juneteenth. And I'm seeing the chat, hey, the random row, saying, don't remember a time when we didn't celebrate Juneteenth. She's also from East Texas, Tyler. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, the attendance of it, we used to start at, I remember starting at church, we started at my Aunt Brenda's house, and we'll walk through the park. We go to MLK, and everything's going to pop out. And that's as a little boy. I just remember just wanting to catch the candy. If you get on the back of a trailer or something, that was live. But that's when we think about when did Juneteenth start, okay? When we thought of it, but how did it make you feel? Like the feeling of Juneteenth?
For me, it's, when I was younger, I didn't fully understand it. Mm-hmm. And, as a kid, it was parade, cars, baseball games, basketball tournaments, things like that. So I didn't fully grasp it. And then once I got, high school, middle school, high school, they did like street dances, and stuff like that. So it was just a social outing. Mm. But once I got a little bit older and could fully understand, there was pride, but also a pain there. Because you start to realize that, wow, these people, my people, they were free all this time and didn't know it. Mm. They were kept in bondage and did not know. To think these people were trapped in this, and it took so long for this word to make it to Galveston, Texas.
Yeah.
There's pride knowing that my people made it out of this, but also that hurt that's still there in this.
Absolutely. Thank you. And
I can agree with that, man. I think, it's kind of like everything. Like when you're a kid, like take Christmas, for instance, when you're a kid, Christmas has a specific meaning for you, right? You're going to try and stay up late at night. You're going to wake up early and try and get your people up to go open gifts, right? And then as you get a little bit older and you start to understand the meaning behind, the holiday, right? And then you shift from being the gift receiver to the gift giver. The perspective of what it means really shifts. And so Desmond, what you're saying, I can agree with, man. Being little, it was about, being with family. You know what I'm saying? You go out or whatever. Especially in Tyler, it was like, because, most of the black people in Tyler, I feel like we all know each other. And so it was like a family union, kind of like block party type thing. And you just, it's cool. But as you get older, right, and now I have kids, right, you try to really convey what it really was, and how significant Juneteenth is, maybe even more so than the Emancipation Proclamation, which didn't really mean anything, because Abraham Lincoln didn't really have no power over the South, and those are the slaves he set free. He didn't even set, the northern states that had slaves, if they still sided with the Union, he was like, y'all good, but all y'all people on the South side, y'all gotta let y'all's people go. But they weren't listening, and so the older you get and the more research you do about the holiday, the more you learn. That's one thing I feel like I can appreciate about growing up in Tyler, or small town Texas. Like, even with my, I play with a basketball team, the Suns, right? And even within our basketball organization, we used to have like a Black History Month program, right? And we used to learn about who we were as a people. It wasn't just, we're gonna roll out a basketball and we're gonna play, And so, just as you get older and you come to, a better and deeper understanding of the fact that it was 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, and you look at how, when the enslaved people in Texas were set free, how they scattered to go and find family members that had been sold off, right? It has a deeper significance and impact in terms of what freedom really meant.
Thank you, B. Thank you. And I see Cassie. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I was juggling with some family stuff, but yes.
Absolutely. So we just touched on, and this is Cassie. Can you introduce yourself a little bit for us?
Yes. Hi. So I'm Cass. Also Sandy. I'm from Tyler. I live in Rockwall. I've been in the area probably about, I guess, since college. So almost 30 years, 25, 30 years. And Brandon and I are cousins, and I'm excited to be here. I was really enjoying the history and all that. It was Desmond that was speaking.
It was Brandon, and it was with the history. It was Brandon. It's Jake.
Okay.
It's two Brandon.
Yeah. So that was
when
great.
She said my cousin Brandon, I was like, my cousin. Oh, I forgot. I'm on here with Drake.
Hey, we're cousins, Brandon. Both,
You're
right?
We are Tyler.
We all keen. You just said everybody.
Come on in. You with his family here. It's family here. We everything.
Right. Everybody knows everybody. So, but yeah. So thank you. I'm just sitting back listening to you guys. So thanks for the invite.
So question: When was the first time you celebrated Juneteenth that you can remember?
Wow, probably elementary, in elementary school in Tyler. It was a big thing. We didn't even know what we were doing, honestly, to be quite honest. I mean, we just know we were all getting together. We were getting together. We were in the parade or enjoying the parade. But I knew that as a kid that it was just a beautiful scene to have all of us together, united, and because we lived North Tyler, but our zoning was split, so we ended up going to school in South Tyler, and so every year for that event, it was just such a beautiful sight and experience to have all of us together on the north side. Because, like I said, we went to a more diverse school just because zoning. But ultimately, I'm from North Tyler, and so the parade was always a big deal. Going to Wilder Park was a big deal, and all the celebrations and collaborations. And as we got older and understood the meaning more, and then we shared that with our own children. And so, now here we are. It's a national holiday. Kudos, whoop whoop. So here we are. And so our class of 1988, John Tyler, we participated in the parade the last few years. And so we're the only class that actually participates in the parade. Now, this year, maybe some other classes will join us, but we're the only ones that participate. So we're looking forward to it. We got our Juneteenth t-shirts done. We're decorating our float. And so it's a big deal. So, yeah, everything culture, right?
Everything culture, you know it. I don't know if Brandon felt the same guilt that I felt when you said class. I'm like, we got to do something.
Yeah, y'all need to get on it now.
Hey, I would like to ask y'all a question though.
Yes.
Coming with y'all being in Tyler, and like y'all have a more African American per se high school,
right?
Do you feel as though y'all got more education about this holiday?
No.
Yeah. Not academically. No.
Yeah.
No.
But and the reason why I'm asking is because hey, it's Longview, and
we know.
So,
we know. If people don't know, Longview and Tyler are very still semi-segregated.
Okay, we being polite.
Just segregated. We put it out there.
So, with me coming from you, the school system didn't really care, but there were a handful of teachers who pushed this and did their best to explain to us what this meant. And I have a lot of feelings on this because I just realized some things as I got older. Like people champion the Emancipation Proclamation. They champion this and they speak on this. But I often wonder, did any of y'all do the research on this? Because thinking back and reading, you say, what did he really care about freeing the slaves, or was he crippling the Southern economy? And reading, things like that, I wrestle with, because let's be honest here. Black people champion a couple people: Abraham Lincoln, John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm.
But as we are championing these people, are we all getting a full grasp of why this man did what he did?
And when you say man, you mean Lincoln?
Yes.
So, and that's so unique about that, because once again, we only know what we know as a child.
Right.
We're now, one thing, not only being where, we got folks in Tyler, we got Longview, East Texas in total, but we're all Texas as well. So one thing we learned that, we're taught Texas history. We're not only taught rural, we're not only taught U.S., we're also taught Texas history. It's no Washington history. It's not an Arizona history. It's not a New York history. It's a Texas history. And if we go into detail about the Daughters of the Confederacy as well, we're taught certain things. This is not a coincidence. So, and, I wanted to touch on the history, but man, and we get right into it, because the history of this holiday, we got the feeling of it first. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's why I asked, first thing I knew growing up, I just knew it felt good.
Mm-hmm.
I like seeing so many Black people together, and for us to come together peacefully and actually celebrate. And then I learned about the holiday the more, maybe around high school and middle school, I started learning more about it. So it is such a remarkable feeling now learning about it, and learning a lot of things that we were told as children was not the truth. A lot of things that people still believe to this day is not to be the truth. That's why with Everythang culture, we really touch on the actual factual information, other than listening to what's been told to us forever. Like, I've been going around asking people about why do you celebrate the 4th of July? What does that have to do? What event happened on 4th of July to make it Independence Day? A war didn't end. Nothing was signed on the 4th of July. Nothing was signed on that day. The thing is,
they made a declaration.
The thing is, well, if you look at the history of the 4th of July, two people that's important who signed the 4th of July, signed the declaration, was that died on that same day of 4th of July. I really try to take the time out and look up every holiday and why we celebrate these holidays and what's the real meaning of it. Now, we got Jake's here. If you do some research, if somebody correct me, I would sit back. But even learning about, I just found out this past year that Santa Claus, which is based from St. Nicholas, and history shows that the real St. Nicholas was a Moor. And we all know Moors are what? All right. So I'm like,
man, don't start, man, because then we have to start talking about Black Jesus.
And keep going down. But let's pull it back to what we've been told as far as the Emancipation Proclamation, and as well as the General Orders number 3. Because when the Emancipation Proclamation went into effect, as well as the 13th Amendment, we all know it left the loophole to open up for the prison pipeline, really.
Mm-hmm.
The continuation of slavery. So when I talk to some people, they understand slavery truly never ended.
It just transformed.
There you go. It was a transition. And that's the biggest thing where we're looking to why it's a disproportionate amount of us in prison.
Figured out, hey, let's give them guns. They gave us guns.
So when you touch on that right there, so let's go all the way back to June 19th in Galveston, 1865. Okay. When the General Orders number 3 was read out by, General Gordon Granger, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is when the people of Texas are informed that, in accordance with a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, the President, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights to property between former masters and slaves. And the connection here, therefore, existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor.
Mm-hmm.
The freedmen are advised to remain quietly at the present homes and work for wages.
Mm-hmm.
They are informed that they will not be allowed to collect at military posts, and they will not be supported in idleness. Pay attention to that. In idleness, either there or elsewhere.
Yep.
And that was read to the people at in Galveston. Oh, I cannot think of the exact location right now, and I do not have it in front of me. But it's right under the pit. Some people and let's look at the history of it too. That learning. I used to think that we were just waiting around, waiting to be waiting to be freed as well. That was not the case. Black people fought. We fought for our freedom. And if you look at the Emancipation Proclamation, it says that, hey, it's basically say they were fighting. It was like that. Really, like people, especially near Florida, Arkansas, dealing with the Gullah Geechee people, North Carolina, the Seminoles. They were fucking these white people up. Like that. It was not like on the hand. And the same thing was happening in Texas too. Mm-hmm. The thing is, Texas is still Texas to this day. I'm in a whole different state, and I'm looking down like, wow, we ain't wearing masks, people. Y'all kind of embarrassing me, because Texas go do what Texas want to do. And that was the same thing with slavery. They're like, oh, y'all can end this shit. Not that many wars during the Civil War was fought in Texas. Texas was kind of protected and kind of did what they continued to do. And that's why when Granger had to come to Galveston, he had to bring them troops with him. Because, we will have the knuck if you buck. And we're like, okay, we already fighting black people because a lot of black people already fought for their freedom in Texas. They were working things out. But this was like the confirmation of it, that you're not only fighting, but you're also supported by the United States as well.
Right. And there's two important things I want people to know. For one, that baseball team y'all champion with the name Rangers on it. What were the Rangers originally for?
We could talk about the police. Like,
no.
I'm an Astros fan though, but I'm like,
listen. But this is something that bothers me because people see the name, it's the Rangers, in Walker, Texas Ranger, and all this, but no one ever really talks about how they hunted down slaves and killed Indians and killed Mexicans.
It's discussed, but it's not discussed enough.
Yeah.
And that's part of but that's part of the system that's been created to keep us comfortable with entertainment and make it fun. And like we used to play Cowboys and Indians is the problem, right? Like, as a kid, and the Indians was the bad guy.
If we're honest, right? History books are written by the victor or whoever's in power. And so if I have the pen, I can frame the story as the author. I can frame the story how I want to frame it. And if the majority of people are in power, see it from my perspective, they're not going to argue with, but they're going to push, which is why you have a group like the Daughters of the Confederacy, right? Which is why even in Texas, as recently as maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when they rewrote the history books and called they called the slave trade, they called them immigrants looking for work.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so when Desmond said earlier, we have gotten as far as they allow us. I think prior to the age we're in, which is like the digital, the information technology age, right? Prior to that, they definitely had that ability. America, I'm going to say America's had the ability to clean up, if you will, historical facts, which is why you have Black people who, especially maybe not so much our parents, but definitely our grandparents, and before them, who look at Abraham Lincoln like this savior.
Let's call it what it is. The Great White Hope.
Okay.
That's what they call it. That's what they call it, the Great White Hope.
But when you really look at who he was, he didn't really like Black folks either.
Yeah, he
didn't like Black people.
Those politics.
He didn't like this. But when you talk about why did he implement or why would he sign the Emancipation Proclamation, obviously you have Frederick Douglass, who was in his ear, right? And then when you look at what was keeping the South, why was the Confederacy able to fight so long? That's because they had slaves back home taking care of the house.
And not only not only were they taking care of the house, but if these soldiers were of some kind of stature, they brought their slaves with them. Those slaves fought. These people not only gave their lives, they went down fighting for a cause that was keeping them in bondage.
We see that still to this day, though.
Yes. Yeah.
That's such an internal battle that we have within our own folks. And once again, I believe that was also scheduled for us to be like that. This has been the same thing since Pharaoh was ruling. It's once again biblical. The best way to keep people, the best way for someone to stay ruling is to keep people fighting against one another. Mm-hmm. But when it comes down to what Juneteenth, even what it started transitioning to become, because everybody, we all from East Texas, we know even people in Texas all didn't celebrate Juneteenth. Black people didn't celebrate Juneteenth. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I've been fighting to celebrate this holiday since I was a youngin', And when I see people like just right here in the chat on TikTok, let me see if I can look at the comment from this young fella. Juneteenth is just another holiday that they give us instead of our reparation they owe us. They didn't give us a damn thing with Juneteenth.
Right.
And that type of stuff used to like really boil my blood, because they didn't give us for Juneteenth. This was something we created and we fought for it. So and I hope that person's still in here so they can hear the information, so they can absolutely understand and soak in some knowledge. Because This ain't Juneteenth is one holiday that we consistently fought for that was not given to us. It was not brought up. It started in the Black church, and the thing is, it's really something that pushed by us. Okay,
right.
But we have some of us that don't know, and just like once again, the mission statement, everything culture from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Men hate each other because they fear each other. If you knew better, you would do better. You know.
Agree.
Because you fear it because you don't know it. You scared of it because you don't know it, and we're trying to educate you about it.
You know, when you said that comments like that, you know, they make your blood boil. I guess from my perspective as a teacher, as an educator, right? You got to combat the ignorance with enlightenment, right? Like you don't get upset because people don't know. Just assume I teach chemistry, right? So, you know, my kids, I just assume they don't know nothing until they show me they know something. And so that sometimes that is the I think that's the approach we have to take with our people, especially in terms of like our history, right?
Yeah.
You know, I have a clothing line. It's called State of Mind, and the reason it's called Mind is because I want to infuse our people with messages that challenge how we have been trained to think about ourselves and the things that they have quote unquote given to us. And I want to reframe and reshape how we see ourselves, so that we see ourselves in a positive light, in a positive image, because there are so many good things that we have done that we do not learn about at school, kind of like what Desmond was talking about earlier, right? And the only way we are going to learn those things about ourselves is if we take the time to teach each other.
Speak on
That's the only way.
Because once again, we did not learn about Juneteenth in school.
No.
We didn't learn about... I didn't learn... What was something that I didn't learn about a lot of things in school. I learned from the Black people in my community and in my family. Like, right. And now same thing with State of Mind, everything culture. It's when every year I do every day for Black History Month, I talk about a specific person that's not popular in Black history that did great feats from music to art to design to engineering to inventions to medicine, you name it. And one of the hardest things for this year, this is the only year that I did not do every day. I missed like 4 days because when I look up the history of tap dancing, how messed up that we had to struggle even to like, it was something that we wanted to claim, but they made it so dirty and nasty. Like the terminology, tap dancing for them white folks is like, it's sad because that is truly our invention coming from West African dance. When it was stolen, only way we were able to celebrate was the tap dance because we didn't have our drums, we didn't have our instruments, and we started tap. Then Irish people, if you Google tap dancing right now, it would just say Irish and West African dance that was created. Irish people started using clogs, what they put in their culture, to tease about how Black people used to dance, to spend time. And then when Black people like, that's once again, we're reclaiming what's ours. Did so other Black people like, oh, you just tap dancing on these white folks. That's something we was doing already.
Right.
It was, but I don't know why. And then I looked up Amos and Andy, and if you look up that hit, and I did once again, I ain't gonna rehash.
You trying to make your plug, boy.
But once again, but all these things, and what Jakes is saying right here is absolutely true, and I know it. Trust me, and that's what I try to do. But I shout out to my girl Shan because she see when I'm trying to educate people. Sometimes I got to pull back and breathe. Because see, Jakes, you working with children. These are grown ass people, right here.
You're right. They're adults, man. It's different,
and it's real hard educating grown. All these different people. Like, and I'm big on if you want to. It's Google's free. That's what I'll be saying.
Absolutely free. Absolutely.
Google's free, and if you really want to know, take the time. And like, we are right here. That's why what we're doing right here, hopefully it can educate some people. And I really want people to understand it's a passion behind this holiday. It's not just about historical. It's a feeling. Because I wish I could bring, I ain't gonna lie, I really want to go back home to Tyler. There's some things there that, I still feel the racism in the air. I still feel it's not always the most comfortable place. When I go and see my family, my auntie, my friends' parents and relatives, and I'm out, okay? But for Juneteenth, I wish I can bring all my people to celebrate Juneteenth in Tyler, Texas, because that's one of the best days of the year for that for me, to be honest.
Can I spin this on his head real quick?
Absolutely, right? Absolutely.
You have a lot of people, like you've mentioned, that feel like Juneteenth isn't necessarily a valid holiday. Okay? All right, cool. All right, cool. Because you want to say it's a Texas thing? All right, cool, whatever. Then explain to me why in this country do we learn about the Emancipation Proclamation, right? But why don't we celebrate it? Why don't we celebrate the Emancipation Proclamation like we celebrate the other holidays? We put more stock into made-up holidays, right, that have no significance on our soil. But why don't we at least celebrate the Emancipation Proclamation then?
Exactly. Speak it.
I was talking to somebody and I told them, you're not from Texas. So for you, it might just be a holiday. For you, it might just be we're going to go to the park, we're going to cook, whatever. But for the folks that are from Texas, my black folk that fully understand what this day is, what this meant for us, it's unmatched. And for somebody to say that it's just another holiday
that was given to us, that's what I'm like. Once again, being like, I'd be like, and I'll come in like, no, this holiday is truly meant blah blah blah. But inside, I be wanna like, once again, I don't feel like doing this edit right here, but I just want to snap,
God. In Texas, Juneteenth was a federal holiday before it was a federal holiday.
Yes. Yes.
That's how it was. It's a federal holiday. For us, it's federal. And we don't care what nobody else got to say. But maybe that's that Texas mentality. We don't care what nobody else got to say. It's Juneteenth.
Oh, yeah, I don't.
Juneteenth.
And that's what, so can we, okay, are we ready to transition now? Let's go into the transition, Juneteenth. And going for the future. Juneteenth right now, 2022. We've talked about our childhood. We talked about how this day made us feel. We talk about how seeing the kids celebrate and family come together. We talked about even the back history with the General Orders number 3. I didn't even get into how when we had to buy properties. I didn't even get into the conversation about Emancipation Park. I didn't get into how we weren't allowed to celebrate Juneteenth. I didn't even talk about how I didn't even know until last week. Shout out to I gotta get this brother's name before I because he really I appreciate when people can educate me in a One Mic Black History podcast. Shout out to One Mic History telling me how Martin Luther King was influential for Juneteenth to be spread in other states. I did not know that, and I love me some Martin Luther King. Okay, but when we talk about now with Juneteenth and we're seeing the commercialization of our holiday,
gentrification of our holiday,
gentrification of the holiday, the being like, how do we feel? Like, I know how I feel, and I will share first. I'll let y'all go. I feel some type of way sometimes. It's one side of me. I ain't gonna lie. One side of me, even when we talked about the ice cream before, one side of me that I'm happy that we're being recognized. Mm-hmm. I'm happy. Oh, hey, man, ain't nobody ever talked about Juneteenth before, but now we got a little something. Now, I'm not happy with the trademark. I'm not happy with y'all trying to steal the name and steal the Don't do that. But just share it. But then I also gotta say, I've seen some people to come on and talk about Juneteenth and and they're black and they once again the colors of Juneteenth was red, white, and blue. It was all like we had all these. I was supposed to put the flag up behind me. I got my flag right here, but I'm also recognizing are you trying to exploit the holiday? Are you really trying to learn the holiday too, or are you just trying to come in just because you want to make Juneteenth what you want to make it? I had to get on TikTok. It was a sister talking about Juneteenth should be a day of mourning.
What we mourning?
We're mourning our freedom.
Yeah, that's what we mourning, the end of slavery. That's what we mourning. Okay. That don't even make sense.
But that's my thing. Please, and that's my own thing. I beg for folks. Don't get to know the holiday, get to know the experience, listen to some people that actually celebrate it. Don't just go, like when I say Google, try to do some more research. Talk to people like us that's actually know the holiday or did their research. Somebody from Texas that is, once again, since childhood. But don't see somebody and like, this was Juneteenth, back a quick overview. Let's do what I want to do. My first year, like I think it was 2021, I think it was like maybe 2020, when we had it was a Juneteenth silent march. And I'm like, what is this? Once again, I'm in Washington. I'm like, this ain't Juneteenth.
No, it's supposed to be loud, man. This is Jubilation.
There you go. But
I'm gonna be honest with you. Mm-hmm. When they did that, I didn't feel away because I understood what it was.
Yeah.
Whenever it's something that they can't control, something that they can't stop, the first thing they do is try to whitewash it. They're going to play this down to it seems like this isn't a real thing because they can't control this, because this talks about a narrative that they don't want out there.
And that's the history of Juneteenth. That's part of the history of Juneteenth. That's why Juneteenth in previous year, it was big, it became small, became big, became small, because they felt like, one, it was unpatriotic. Two, that seeing black people come together, even at the beginning, they didn't want us to come together. And I didn't even talk about loitering and things, and it goes into the 13th again. But it was to the point where Juneteenth was like white people, and I say straight up, white people didn't want Juneteenth to be celebrated because once again it was too close to the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And I also know every holiday though is going to be exploited. Every single, that's the point with holidays.
And holidays. That is one of the reasons why I don't want to say hate, because hate is a strong word, but I'm iffy about it being a national holiday, right? Because there is absolutely nothing that we have created that hasn't been exploited via capitalism.
Facts.
And so, earlier I mentioned the gentrification of Juneteenth. Well, that got a nice ring to it, gentrification of Juneteenth. I'm gonna have to use that. But it worries me that it's going to lose the authenticity because you got people out here trying to make ice cream. And if you're going to capitalize off the holiday, off a black holiday, make sure those funds go towards aiding a black cause.
I agree to that. Absolutely. Agree. How many black holidays do we have though?
Two.
MLK.
Well, you got to go 3 because Black History Month. Bath and Body Works did they did their thing on Black History Month this year.
They did.
So I got a previous episode. Some black people don't like Black History Month, and I'm like, because they said we should be celebrating Black history all year round, and like, in my response in that video was like, well, but that's not the case, because even black people don't want to learn about Black history in other days. They're like, it's not. We don't have that spotlight. It's not that highlight. Right. And that's the point. When it gets to the point where it becomes normalized, I'm legit.
Cool.
I'm good, but it's not. We're not there yet. So yeah, I'm gonna celebrate Black History Month. So, and with Juneteenth, I'm also it becoming a national holiday because I asked once again, 29. I want it to become a national. I want people to know it. I want people to share it. But I want people to understand it and respect it. And that's the thing. It's like forcing people to respect. And I'm like, I can't fight everybody. I'm like, I'm like, and it's just. That's why I say I want people to experience, and that's this conversation right here. And with the ice cream, with the napkins. Now that whole thing, whoever made them napkins, it's the freedom for me. You can go to hell. Okay.
Oh, you's a riding mother. Ooh. All right, bro.
Hey, bro, but that reminds me of a shirt I saw. There was a platform before I started making it myself. There's a platform I was using when I was uploading my designs. I cannot think the name of the platform. But they had a shirt that commemorated Juneteenth. It was Abraham Lincoln with some glasses on. And it was a sleeveless shirt. And it said something about like time to free the slaves or the sleeves. Time to free the sleeves. But they put it out during Juneteenth. I was like, nah, that's crazy.
How does that work?
That was crazy, man.
I've always wondered one thing. How can Juneteenth be unpatriotic, but the rebel flag is? You don't find it strange?
It's the difference is the difference between one side of your hand and the other. That's the difference.
And I always, somebody says something like that to me, I'm gonna ask them, so where else can you go and the people that lost the war can put their flags on everything?
Of course, they flag.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think truth be told, anything that we create from our culture is personal to us.
Yeah.
And because America has for so long fought to not give us a place or space within the common culture, it always feels like we just getting picked off.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take this part, and we can use that. This is okay. The food is good. Your music is good. We'll take that. Hey, we're going to give you $100,000. You signed this deal, and we're going to exploit you, right? We're going to take your this little holiday down here in Texas. We'll give you a national holiday. Now, boom, floodgates. Everybody gonna hit it.
Yeah, but this is something that, once again, this is something cool. And like, look, it's like, this is like something I'm sharing with y'all. This is show and tell. I want to share all this with y'all. Look at it. This is something I love. And people like you say, it's like you go pick from it. I'm gonna eat all of it. I'm gonna say this is mine the whole time. It's not yours, but you're not. And I'm like, no, you're not showing it right. This not what it's for. Well, it's stupid anyway. That's where I get to the and I get upset, because I really want to support us. Because Juneteenth is such a holiday that we can support and celebrate and network. And going back to where even Desmond was saying earlier about Juneteenth was about progress. And that's the other thing was hated, because Juneteenth came together and it was making Black people vote. And we said it again. Juneteenth was big on having Black people collectively come together and vote to make a difference, to be a power. It wasn't all about celebrating. It was about networking. It was about coming together. Like, you have a business, like people coming out, sharing food. It was all us in a positive light and how we can continue to support one another. And it's still that. This is like when I hear Black people say we don't do this to each other and we don't do that on Juneteenth, I know it comes around. I know that for sure. If any day is that day. Because we all know time when we get together, at a certain amount, we kind of get reckless.
A little sideways, yeah.
But Juneteenth is like, maybe I'm romanticizing the holiday. Maybe I am.
You're not. But
I don't think I am. That's why I said I don't think I am.
But and if you've never been to a Juneteenth parade or anything like that, I get how it's hard for you to understand. But I can tell you this. Black people, especially us in East Texas, we're going to do a parade that morning. We're going to be at the park the rest of the evening. And once we get to that park, there's going to be food, drinks, testing, people actively trying to get you to vote, voter registration. It's more than just a parade. It's more than just we all hanging out.
Could you mention the baseball game, the basketball game, the pageants? Entirely, we had the truckers dance. Now, I was always a little too young to go to the truckers dance.
I ain't never been, but I've heard about it.
Exactly. You used to hear about it. Like all my older cousins, the family members that headed to the truckers dance, everybody, because that's when the kids have to stay at the house. We couldn't go out.
How did y'all not go to the dance?
Because that was the grown folks thing, man. We was like, That was like, hey, they just know that the grown folks getting out. I was saying
once I was in school, once I was in college, I spent summers in College Station. I didn't really come home during college like that.
Because I was in Houston. But man, it's just so amazing how
it's a big family reunion, dog. Is what it is.
Hey, B,
that's a fact.
If you listen to the previous episode, that's exactly what we ended on. It's basically just a big black family reunion.
Yeah, it is. I feel like, and maybe I'm biased because I'm from Tyler, from East Texas, but I don't know if anybody does Juneteenth like how we do Juneteenth.
I was giving it 1 hour. You know, I've been hearing other places. It ain't like
even in Houston, right? You know, you got all these black people in Houston. It's just, I guess it's because it's because you don't know as many people. It just don't have that same. Like, it's still the same celebration. It's still cool or whatever, but it don't. That's that. And maybe that's why we have such a deep emotional connection to the holiday. It's not only what it stands for in terms of our culture, right, but what it stood for in terms of our community, our local community.
Yes.
And maybe if people were able to experience it on that level, maybe we need to write a guide, man. We need to write a digital guide how to Juneteenth.
I am doing the presentation.
But
I am doing one. I would love for y'all to help me with that. But because either I'm gonna try to put together some slides and things, and if y'all want to do voiceovers from it, because I want us. It's not just people think I'm just. They act like I'm gatekeeping Juneteenth sometimes. No, man, I won't. But this is us. It's real, and I just got to be transparent. It's real hard to just let go and hear people say stuff about Juneteenth, and I'd be like, "Ooh, but you wrong. You so wrong about it." But hearing what we're saying right here, it's beautiful, and I'm hoping everybody is listening to this now, from Spotify to Apple Podcasts, to watching this on YouTube, to people right here on TikTok. I'm hoping this is helping everyone out. I hope this can share this. Y'all getting to feel a sense of pride. Being black in America. We got so many struggles that we have in front of us on a day-to-day basis. We on the exclusive content, we talked about the shooting in Buffalo. We talk about these type of things. We have every day is a threat being black in America, especially.
That's a fact.
I can't even say especially being a black man, because they kill our women and children just as much. Okay, and it's stressful. Once again, I talk about racial battle fatigue. Just because we ourselves getting killed every day, either by the people that's supposed to be protecting us, by each other, by just and it's traumatizing. Okay, and we're just out here trying to live and be great and just be successful and continue to grow and be not only productive people in society, but be great people in society. Because this is the country that we built.
This was built on our backs.
We didn't steal it from nobody. We didn't take it. But when we got it, we built it. We made sure to turn it in certain ways. Just being and many of this runs with us. And even with people back home, we were taken from our cultures. We were stripped of that. And I've said this before, being black in America, being an African American, being an American descendant of slavery, like we're still searching and finding ourselves. We're the most hated culture. We're the most hated people around this world because y'all, like the colonizers of this continent, made it that way. But we're the most influential people as well. We set the trends. We from the music to the fashion to the style, from the lingo, from the language, and if we go all the way back to even to Texas, we are very influential as well, and we're looked down upon. So I'm big on when we have something that it was started and we continue celebrating, we spread it out. Don't look down on it. Embrace it. First, understand it and attempt to embrace it. And if it's not for you, that's okay. But don't yuck nobody's yum. Don't nay somebody else's yay. Just that's the best way I can try to communicate that to everyone. Because when we start whooping your ass, I'm cut that out right there.
You know, people often forget that we spent roughly 400 years inside of it. We spent this large chunk of time being someone else's property. Do you know how hard it is to pull something like that out of someone?
It takes a long time to do that.
Yeah. Like the evolution of Black people will take time. We're getting better. Things are moving better. But it was put in us to hate each other. It was put in us to keep us down. They did everything they could to keep Black people docile. And one of the main reasons they hate us so much is because a lot of this shit they made, they bred us to be bigger, stronger, faster, and smarter.
That was an accident, but yeah,
I was going to say that was absolute accident.
The complete accident. What? No.
Because even Peep Gang, they taught us how to, like, the talent and how we communicate.
Right.
Let me go to TikTok. Go. I'm listening. Go ahead. Continue. I want to shout somebody else out too.
Well, it wasn't fully an accident because they needed someone who could do the books. They needed someone who could count. They needed someone that could do these things that, let's be honest, they weren't going to do because they weren't that smart, if we're being honest.
Go ahead.
So you bred all these things in us. Why wouldn't you be scared of us? Because if we're being honest, you know you made us bigger, stronger, faster, and smarter.
Well, see, the creator is not afraid of the creation until the creation starts to think for himself. And that's the piece, right? And so on my shirt, one of the reasons I put Juneteenth, right? But I didn't want to put just 1865. I put forever free. The reason I put forever free is because even while we were physically enslaved, they couldn't enslave our minds. They couldn't enslave our hopes. They couldn't enslave our dreams. And that's why from the lineage of slavery, you have a Dr. Martin Luther King. You have a Malcolm X. You have all these people who had these visions of what we could be and what we could be in America and what America could be to us, right? Mm-hmm. And so even though we were enslaved, right, I still believe that, it's kind of like Maya Angelou, I Know When a Caged Bird Sings. Even though we were enslaved and in bondage physically, you still couldn't enslave our minds and our spirits. I think that seed of relentlessness and resiliency and hope has taken its roots and is starting to sprout out the ground. And it ain't like no little plant though; it's a tree.
Absolutely. And I was looking for the page, the account on Twitter, but we were in a great spaces and we're talking about Negro spirituals that turn into gospel, that turn into everything else that we have.
Everything else. Where them rounds come from, man?
And once again, I was doing some other things, so I couldn't speak on it. But but Negro spirituals, they were truly just a message. So the message we can't lose that. Our message should still be in our music and what we're saying. That's why I appreciate certain lyricists. Shout out to Kendrick. Shout out to Cole. Shout out to even my boy. Yeah, we hope you come back home. But Kanye, Bun B, all these people that listen, it's a message in our music, and it comes from the turmoil that we went through. We go through so much, and we make something so beautiful out of it. How a flower can grow through pavement, and that's how I feel about us. And So with Juneteenth, hopefully we continue to celebrate one another and love one another, get to know one another. Once again, it's going back to this statement, because it continue to spread. We don't want to hate anybody. We don't want to have any dismay towards one another. And I see the chat over here on TikTok. I see what we're going on, and I thank y'all for being here too, and thank y'all for the likes and being part of the discussion. Thank you for the people who's listening to this right now afterwards. We got a lot more work to do. What did Kobe say? The job's not done. So when we step off from what we're doing, the job
will never be done. The job will never be done.
Once again, but this is the day. Juneteenth is the day for us to celebrate. But then once we celebrate, don't mean we're done working. We go back out to working with this work going again. And but we make sure we connect. Once again, when I see us connect from our men, our women, please stop talking about that man that is passed with the last name Samuel. Okay. Let's continue to have a connection with one another, because we can do great things with each other when we support one another. And because I want to do the closing points, but I want to hear from y'all. But once again, and educate our youth.
Yes.
Talk to these kids, mentor. Black. I wish I could zoom. Black men. Become a mentor. Seriously, it's a child out here a young man or a young woman that needs to hear some of the experiences that you have in life.
Hey man, let me on that whole black men mentorship piece. I have come to realization that a lot of us don't feel worthy.
I know,
or don't feel like we are capable, or that our stories and our experiences are not relevant, right? But the truth of the matter is, and I've learned this in 13 years of education,
own it.
Everybody's story is important and relevant to someone. While you may not be able to save everyone, if you can create a ripple in one, right, that ripple will touch two, will touch four, and it will become a wave. So maybe this is just us as a community, right? I want us to be able to get out of our heads in terms of what we feel like we do and don't have, who we or our space or place or position. And I really want us to start to share and network, not just up and down, but like I was gonna make a chemistry reference, right? but like a spider web type. I was gonna talk about carbon bonds because that's what makes diamonds strong. Is the way that the network is built. Because pencil lead and a diamond is made out of the same thing. They're both made out of carbon, right? But the carbon on pencil lead is stacked on top of each other. That's why when you write, it just comes off. But you have a different type of networking bond in a diamond structure, which makes it hard, right? And if we can network like a diamond as opposed to just like carbon, like graphite, then we will build not only stronger communities of young men and women, but we're going to build ourselves up, because you're going to get connected to people who have had experiences that you're going through, and they will be able to help you while you're helping other people. So there's just a level of vulnerability, I think, that we've got to get to. And I think that's a topic for a whole another day. But there's a level of vulnerability we have to be willing to get to if we truly are for the growth of our people.
Beautiful. I'm over here just soaking it up, man. Desmond, what you got for us before we get on out of here?
Bro, you said something a while ago, and it really did something up here. All music started with us. No matter what it is, we started it. Jazz, bebop, all these things. Shit, rock and roll. All these things were made by us. We have such a big gift. We can bless the whole world. But I want everybody everybody to find out what Juneteenth is really about. Because if you've seen what I've seen on Juneteenth, I don't know how you couldn't love it. You know, we come from these, smaller little cities, but they were rough. They were rough. But we all knew Juneteenth, it didn't matter what happened, we was going to have a good time. We could go outside on Juneteenth and know nothing's going to happen today.
Hey, I want to say this. I already know he haven't listened to the previous episode, but it's scary. Like it's scary how he almost said verbatim what I said about Juneteenth. And I'm like, I know people think I'm just hyping it up and I'm high capping. It's like that. But starting with Desmond, if the people are looking for you and you're trying to be found, where can the people find you?
Yeah, Twitter. I don't even remember the handle. Hold on, let me think. It's King Country 903. I'm on there. Hit me up all day, every day.
Yeah, King_Country 903.
That's me.
I got you. My brother, my fellow, my alumni, Jakes.
Cujo.
If you're Cujo, they call it Tyler Hyde, John Tyler, but it's Cujo at the end of the day, baby.
Sure.
If you're trying to be found, if the people looking for you, where can the people find you?
See, I got a little more time to think. You put Desmond on the spot. Instagram, State of Mind for the Culture. State of Mind for the Culture. And I think TikTok is State of Mind for the Culture also. State of Mind. Yeah, I'm trying it out.
Hey,
I'm trying to transition.
Holla at me.
For real, I will, no doubt. Yeah, man.
State of Mind.
And for anybody who is still on the fence about Juneteenth, remember this statement. Ain't none of us free until we all free. So if you ain't about celebrating all our freedom, then I mean you probably really ain't free.
Let them know. So, y'all know us. What's up, y'all? This has been, once again, thank y'all so much. Thank you, Cassie, for coming through. Thank you to Chelsea for attempting at the beginning. Whoever's listening to this, I want to tell you I love you and I appreciate you. No matter who you are, what you represent. And I hope this episode, this discussion resonates with you, touch you deeply in your soul and your spirit as it touches us. And this is just a start of a discussion. This is our third Juneteenth discussion over the past 3 years since Everything culture has been in effect. And I just look forward to where this is going to go in the future. And I want to continue to grow and get better. But, everyone, if y'all don't know, let me let you know that you can find us anywhere you listen to a podcast. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Amazon Music. You can find us on Audible. You can find us on Google Play. You can find us on Podbean. We're on YouTube. We're literally all over. We're on Twitter. We're on IG. We're on Facebook. We're on TikTok. We're on Tumblr. We're on Pinterest. You name it, you can find, and you can find us at www.everythang, that's an A, not a I, culture.com. Once again, everythangculture.com. We have merchandise. You can catch up the episodes. You can become a viewer. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can go to our contact list and sign up there. But we're going to end on this, that as always, we have our mission statement that Everythang Culture lives off the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which he said at Cornell University some years ago, that he believed that men hate each other because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other. They don't know each other because of segregation. Because of segregation, we have miscommunication. So Everything culture has been built on the pillars of respect, communication, and consistency, so we can get to know each other, so we can love one another. So I want to say thank you all again. God bless. Peace.
Peace.